The words, "Nobody marries a fat girl like you," echoed through the Detroit ballroom when Christina's ex, Derek, publicly destroyed her at a family wedding, sending the plus-size Namibian woman running into the hallway where she collided with gorgeous Korean stranger Yang Min Seok, who witnessed her humiliation and made a shocking proposal. "Marry me. Let's prove them all wrong," with a 1-year contract, offering revenge and life-changing money in exchange for satisfying his grandmother's marriage demands. What this broke tech worker fleeing public shame doesn't realize is saying yes to the dangerous mafia boss means his psychotic ex-fiancée will spread vicious lies. She's a gold digger. His traditional Korean family will threaten deportation to protect their empire. Rival criminals will kidnap and nearly kill her to break him. And the fake arrangement will become so devastatingly real that Minasyok will face bullets and betrayal, choosing the curvy African stranger over everything he built. If she's brave enough to believe a man who proposed from pity could fall completely, obsessively, dangerously in love. The champagne glass shattered against the marble floor, and every head in the ballroom turned to stare at Christina Capenda. Her hands trembled as she stood frozen in her emerald bridesmaid dress, the fabric clinging to her curves that had just been publicly mocked by the one person she thought she'd moved past. "Come on, everyone heard me," Derek's voice rang out across the Detroit hotel ballroom, his new girlfriend laughing beside him. "Nobody marries a fat girl like you. I dodged a bullet when I left." The wedding reception fell silent. 200 guests, including Christina's cousin, the bride, watched as humiliation crashed over her like a wave. Her throat tightened, eyes burning with tears she refused to let fall in front of these people. Not here. Not now. She'd flown all the way from her quiet tech job in Namibia to celebrate family, and this is what she got. Without a word, Christina turned and ran. Her heels clicked frantically against the polished floor as she burst through the ballroom doors into the hotel corridor. The tears came then, hot and angry, streaming down her brown cheeks as she gasped for air. She couldn't breathe in that room full of pitying stares and whispered gossip. She rushed toward the exit, vision blurred, and slammed directly into something solid. Strong hands gripped her shoulders, steadying her before she fell. "Watch where you're going," a deep voice said, accent thick with Korean pronunciation. Christina looked up through her tears at the most striking man she'd ever seen. He was tall for a Korean man, maybe 6 feet, with sharp features and eyes so dark they looked black. His suit probably cost more than her entire year's rent. Everything about him screamed danger and money. "I'm sorry," she choked out, trying to move past him. But he didn't let go. Those intense eyes studied her face, taking in the tears, the smeared makeup, the devastation she couldn't hide. "Who made you cry?" he asked simply. "It doesn't matter." Christina pulled away, embarrassed that this gorgeous stranger was seeing her at her lowest moment. The man tilted his head slightly, and she noticed 2 large men in dark suits standing behind him, clearly bodyguards. "I heard what that fool said in there, about nobody marrying you." Fresh humiliation washed over her. "You heard that?" Everyone in this hotel heard it. He has a loud mouth and a small brain. The man's expression didn't change, but something flickered in his eyes. "He's wrong, by the way." Christina laughed bitterly. "You don't have to be nice. I'm used to it." "I'm never nice," he replied flatly. "I'm stating facts. That man is an idiot, and you're letting him win by crying out here alone. What else am I supposed to do?" Christina wiped her face, anger replacing some of the hurt. "Go back in there and pretend I'm not dying inside. Pretend that everyone isn't thinking the same thing he said out loud." The man was quiet for a moment, watching her with an intensity that made her skin tingle. Then he spoke words that would change everything. "Marry me." Christina blinked. "What?" Marry me. Let's prove them all wrong." His tone was completely serious, like he was discussing a business deal rather than a life-changing proposal. "Are you crazy?" Christina stepped back, wondering if she'd somehow wandered into a weird dream. "I don't even know your name." "Jangmin Seok." He pulled out a business card and handed it to her. The card was simple, expensive paper, with just a name and phone number. "And you are?" "Christina. Christina Kapenda." She stared at the card, confused. "Why would you ask a stranger to marry you?" Min Seok glanced back toward the ballroom, then returned his attention to her. "I have my reasons. You need revenge on that idiot who embarrassed you. I need a wife to satisfy my grandmother who won't stop pestering me about settling down. We can help each other." "This is insane," Christina said, but she didn't walk away. "Is it?" Min Seok moved closer, his voice dropping lower. "You go back to your life, and everyone remembers you as the girl nobody wants to marry. Or you take a chance, and we show them exactly how wrong they are. Your choice." Christina's mind raced. This was absolutely ridiculous. People didn't just marry strangers because of one humiliating moment. And yet, something about the way he looked at her, the confidence in his voice, made her want to believe it was possible. "What kind of reasons do you have?" she asked carefully. Min Seok's jaw tightened slightly. "My grandmother is traditional. She wants me married before she dies, and she's not getting any younger. Every week she introduces me to some appropriate Korean woman from a good family. I'm tired of disappointing her, but I won't marry someone I don't choose." "So you're choosing me? A random woman you met in a hallway?" "I'm choosing someone real. Someone who won't expect love or try to change me. Someone who needs something I can provide." He paused. "It would be a contract. 1 year. We live together, act married in public, and after the time is up, we divorce quietly. You get revenge, money, and a fresh start. I get my grandmother off my back." Christina should have said no. Every rational part of her brain screamed that this was a terrible idea. But the part of her that was tired of being invisible, tired of being treated like she wasn't good enough, that part whispered something different. "How much money?" she asked. Min Seok named a figure that made her gasp. It was more than she'd make in 5 years at her job. "That's ridiculous," she breathed. "That's what your time is worth," he corrected. 1 year of your life, pretending to be my wife. That's the price. What's the catch? There's always a catch. The catch is that my life isn't simple. I have enemies. I have family who will question you. I have responsibilities that might scare you." Min Seok's expression remained unreadable. "But I protect what's mine. If you agree to this, nobody will ever disrespect you again. That's my promise." Something in the way he said it made Christina believe him. This man had power, the kind that made people step aside when he walked into a room. And he was offering her a way out of her humiliation, a way to prove that Derek's cruel words meant nothing. "I need time to think," she said. "You have 30 seconds. Min Seok checked his watch. "My meeting is starting, and this offer expires when I walk into that conference room. That's not fair. Life isn't fair. You learned that tonight." He met her eyes steadily. "But you can either accept unfairness, or you can grab an opportunity when it appears. What's it gonna be, Christina Kapenda?" Her heart pounded. This was crazy. This was dangerous. This was probably the stupidest thing she could possibly do. "Yes," she heard herself say. "I'll marry you." Min Seok nodded once, as if he'd expected that answer. He pulled out his phone and typed something quickly. "My assistant will contact you tomorrow with details. We'll need to move fast. The wedding should happen within 2 weeks." 2 weeks? Christina's voice rose. "That's impossible." "Nothing is impossible when you have the right resources." He handed her another card, this one with an address. "Come to this location tomorrow at 2 in the afternoon. We'll discuss the contract terms." Before Christina could respond, Min Seok turned and walked away, his bodyguards following. She stood there in the empty hallway, holding 2 business cards, and wondering what she'd just agreed to. Behind her, the ballroom doors opened. Her cousin rushed out, face full of concern. "Christina, I'm so sorry about Derek. He's a terrible person, and I never should have let him come. Are you okay?" Christina looked at the cards in her hand, then back at her cousin. A strange smile crossed her face. "Actually," she said slowly, "I'm getting married." Her cousin's eyes went wide. "What? To who?" "Someone who sees me differently than Derek ever did." Christina tucked the cards into her purse. "Someone who thinks I'm worth choosing. But you're not dating anyone." "I am now." Christina walked back toward the ballroom, her steps steadier than before. "And you're all going to meet him very soon." As she rejoined the reception, she caught Derek's eye across the room. He smirked at her, clearly expecting her to still be crying somewhere. Instead, Christina lifted her chin and smiled back. Let him think he'd won. In 2 weeks, she'd show him and everyone else exactly how wrong they were. Her phone buzzed. An unknown number had sent a message. "Don't be late tomorrow. I hate waiting." Mass. Christina's stomach fluttered with nerves and something else she couldn't quite name. She'd just agreed to marry a complete stranger, a powerful man with secrets and bodyguards and enough money to make her head spin. Tomorrow, her life would change forever. Tonight, she'd enjoy watching Derek's face when he realized she wasn't broken by his words. Nobody marries a fat girl? Well, she was about to prove that wrong in the most dramatic way possible. And somewhere deep inside, beneath the fear and uncertainty, Christina felt something she hadn't felt in years. Hope. The mansion in Boston looked like something from a movie. Christina sat in the back of the black car Min Seok had sent for her, staring up at the massive stone building with its iron gates and perfectly manicured gardens. 3 days ago, she'd been a nobody from Namibia, working her tech job and nursing her wounded pride. Now she was pulling up to what might become her home for the next year. The driver opened her door, and she stepped out onto the circular driveway. The front door opened before she could knock, and a man in his 40s with kind eyes greeted her. "Miss Kapenda, welcome. I'm Dante, Mr. Zhang's head of security. Please follow me." Head of security. Right. Because normal people needed those. Inside, the mansion was even more impressive. Marble floors, high ceilings, artwork that probably cost more than her family's house back home. Dante led her through several rooms until they reached a large office where Min Seok sat behind an enormous desk, typing on his computer. He looked up when she entered, those dark eyes assessing her, just like he had 3 nights ago. "You're early." "Good." "You said you hate waiting," Christina replied, trying to sound more confident than she felt. The corner of his mouth twitched, almost like he wanted to smile. "Sit down. We have a lot to discuss." Christina sat in the leather chair across from his desk, her hands clasped tightly in her lap. Min Seok pushed a thick document across the desk toward her. "This is the contract. Read it carefully. Ask questions about anything you don't understand." She picked up the document and started reading. The legal language was dense, but the main points were clear. They would be married for exactly 1 year. She would live in his home and appear with him at family and business events as needed. In return, she'd receive the money he'd promised, plus a monthly allowance for clothes and personal expenses. They would maintain separate bedrooms. No romantic relationship was expected or required. "What about intimacy?" Christina asked, her cheeks warming. "What about it?" Min Seok's expression didn't change. "The contract doesn't mention it. Because it's not required. We're adults. If something happens naturally between us, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't. That part isn't negotiated in a contract." Christina nodded, relieved and oddly disappointed at the same time. She kept reading. "It says I can't tell anyone the marriage is fake." "Correct. As far as the world knows, we fell in love quickly and decided to marry. My grandmother especially cannot know this is an arrangement. What if I need to tell my family? Min Seok leaned back in his chair. You can tell your immediate family the truth if you trust them completely to keep it secret. But no one else. Okay. Christina flipped through more pages. This section says I have to clear any travel plans with you first. That seems controlling. It's for your safety. Once you're my wife, people will notice you. Some of them won't be friendly. I need to know where you are so I can make sure you're protected. Protected from what exactly? Christina set down the contract. You said you have enemies. What does that mean? Min Seok was quiet for a moment, studying her. I run several businesses. Some of them operate in areas where not everyone follows the same rules. I have competitors who would hurt someone I care about to get to me. You mean you're in the mafia? Christina said flatly. I mean, I'm in business, Min Seok corrected. What you call it doesn't change what it is. I'm telling you this now, so you understand what you're agreeing to. My world isn't safe or simple, but like I said, I protect what's mine. Christina's heart raced. This was so much bigger than she'd realized. Maybe I should go. Maybe you should. Min Seok didn't try to stop her. Or maybe you should ask yourself what you're going back to. A job where you're invisible? A life where people like Derek think they can humiliate you publicly? You came here because you wanted something different. He was right, and she hated that he was right. Christina picked up the contract again. I want to add my own rules. Go ahead. You can't control who I talk to or where I go during my free time. You can't disrespect me or treat me like I'm less than you. And if at any point I feel unsafe or unhappy, I can leave and still get half the money. Min Seok considered this. Agreed to the first two. The third one needs adjustment. You can leave if you feel unsafe. Full payment. But if you leave because you're unhappy about something minor, you get nothing. I need insurance that you'll stick to the agreement. That's not fair. What if you're horrible to me? Then you'd be unsafe, and you'd get the full payment. I'm protecting against you getting cold feet in month 2 because being married is harder than you thought. Christina bit her lip. It made sense, even if she didn't like it. Fine. But you have to add something, too. You can't bring other women around me. I won't be humiliated like that. Something flickered in Min Seok's eyes. I don't cheat. When I commit to something, I commit fully. Even if this marriage is a contract, while you're my wife, you're the only woman in my life. That's not negotiable. The intensity in his voice made Christina's stomach flip. Okay then. Anything else? Just one more thing. I want to keep working. My tech job can be done remotely. I don't want to just sit around this huge house all day. Min Seok nodded. That's fine. I work long hours anyway. Having your own career is smart. They spent the next hour going through every detail of the contract, making small adjustments until they both agreed. Finally, Min Seok printed out a fresh copy with all the changes and handed her a pen. Last chance to walk away, he said. Christina took the pen, her hand steady. I'm not walking away. She signed her name on the line, and Min Seok signed his beneath it. Just like that, she'd agreed to marry a stranger. The wedding is in 5 days, Min Seok said, tucking the contract into a drawer. City Hall, very simple. Just us and 2 witnesses. After that, we'll tell our families. 5 days? Christina gasped. That's so fast. We're getting it done. No point in waiting. He stood up. Come on, I'll show you where you'll be staying. Min Seok led her upstairs to a beautiful bedroom suite with its own bathroom and a view of the gardens. The room was bigger than her entire apartment back home. This is mine? She asked. For the next year. My room is at the other end of the hall. If you need anything, Dante can help you. There's security throughout the house, but they'll stay out of your way unless necessary. Christina walked to the window, overwhelmed by everything that had happened. In 5 days, she'd be married. To this complicated, dangerous, impossibly attractive man who looked at her like she was worth something. "Why did you really choose me?" she asked quietly. "The truth." Min Seok came to stand beside her at the window. "Because when I saw you crying in that hallway, you were angry underneath the hurt. Most people just break. You wanted to fight back. I respect that." Before Christina could respond, voices echoed from downstairs. A woman's voice, speaking rapid Korean. Min Seok's jaw tightened. "That's my sister. She has terrible timing." They went back downstairs, where a beautiful young woman stood in the entryway, arguing with Dante in Korean. When she saw Min Seok, she switched to English. "Brother, why didn't you tell me you were in town? I had to hear from grandmother that you were back." "I've been busy, Hye-jin," Min Seok said coolly. Hye-jin's eyes landed on Christina, and her expression shifted to curiosity. "And who is this?" "This is Christina Capenda, my fiancé." The silence that followed was deafening. Hye-jin stared at her brother like he'd grown a second head. "Your what?" "My fiancé. We're getting married in 5 days." Hye-jin laughed, but the sound had no humor in it. "That's not funny, Min Seok. Who is she really?" "I just told you." Min Seok's voice was sharp. "And you'll treat her with respect." Hye-jin turned to Christina, looking her up and down in a way that made Christina's skin crawl. "Where did you meet my brother?" "In Detroit," Christina said, lifting her chin. "At a hotel." "A hotel." Hye-jin's eyes narrowed. "How convenient. And you're marrying him 5 days later? What are you after, his money?" "Hye-jin, enough," Min Seok warned. "No, this is crazy. You don't even date, and suddenly you're engaged to some random woman nobody's ever heard of?" Hye-jin's voice rose. "What's really going on?" Min Seok moved closer to Christina, and before she could process what was happening, he pulled her against him and kissed her. The kiss was nothing like Christina expected. His lips were firm and demanding, and despite this being for show, her body responded immediately. Heat flooded through her as his hand cupped the back of her neck, angling her head so he could deepen the kiss. She gripped his shirt, dizzy from the sensation, from the way he kissed her, like he meant it. When he finally pulled back, they were both breathing hard. Christina's lips tingled, her heart pounding so loud she was sure everyone could hear it. "Does that answer your question?" Min Seok asked his sister, his eyes never leaving Christina's face. Hye-jin made a disgusted sound. "I don't believe this. Grandmother needs to know what you're doing." "Grandmother will meet Christina when I'm ready to introduce them. Until then, stay out of it." Min Seok's voice was cold now, all business. "Dante will show you out." Hye-jin glared at both of them before storming toward the door. "This isn't over." After she left, Christina stepped away from Min Seok, her whole body still humming from that kiss. "You didn't have to do that." "Yes, I did. She needed to believe we're real." But something in his expression had shifted. He looked at Christina differently now, like he was seeing something he hadn't expected. "That was just for show," Christina said, trying to convince herself as much as him. "Of course." Min Seok cleared his throat. "You should rest. It's been a long day. Tomorrow we'll go get you some new clothes. You'll need appropriate outfits for the events we'll attend." Christina nodded, grateful for the chance to escape to her room and process everything. But as she climbed the stairs, she touched her lips, still feeling the ghost of his kiss. This was supposed to be fake, a business arrangement, nothing more. So why did that kiss feel like the most real thing that had happened to her in years? The traditional Korean restaurant was packed with Min Seok's family when they arrived exactly 1 week after the City Hall wedding. Christina wore a beautiful navy dress that Min Seok had bought her, her natural hair styled in elegant braids. The gold wedding band on her finger felt heavy, a constant reminder that she was now officially Christina Jong. "Remember," Min Seok murmured as they walked toward the private room, My grandmother is tough, but fair. Show her respect, and she'll warm to you. What if she hates me? Christina whispered back. She won't. Trust me. Inside the private dining room, at least 15 people waited. The conversation stopped when they entered. An elderly woman sat at the head of the table, her silver hair pulled back severely, her eyes sharp and assessing. Grandmother Jong. Min Seok bowed deeply, and Christina quickly copied him. He spoke in Korean, and his grandmother responded in the same language. Then her eyes fixed on Christina. You are the wife, she said in accented English. Yes, ma'am. I'm honored to meet you. Christina bowed again. You are from Africa. Namibia. Yes, ma'am. Grandmother Jong studied her for a long moment. My grandson says you make him happy. Is this true? Christina felt Min Seok's hand at the small of her back, supporting her. I try my best. Trying is for people who fail. Doing is for people who succeed. Which one are you? The challenge in her voice was clear. Christina straightened her shoulders. I'm someone who does what I commit to. I committed to your grandson, and I'll honor that commitment. A small smile crossed Grandmother Jong's face. Good answer. Sit. Eat. The tension in the room eased slightly as everyone took their seats. Min Seok introduced Christina to various aunts, uncles, and cousins, all of whom looked at her with varying degrees of curiosity and suspicion. She recognized Hye Jin at the far end of the table, glaring daggers at her. The food came in waves, dish after dish of Korean cuisine. Christina tried everything, even when she wasn't sure what it was. Grandmother Jong noticed and gave her an approving nod. You are not afraid of our food, the old woman observed. I love trying new things, Christina said honestly. My mother always taught me that food is how we share culture and love. Your mother is wise. What does she think of this marriage? Christina had called her mother the day before and told her a careful version of the truth, that she'd married quickly after meeting someone special. Her mother had been worried, but supportive. She wants me to be happy. And are you happy? The question hung in the air. Christina glanced at Min Seok, who watched her with those intense dark eyes. The past week had been strange. They lived in the same house, but barely saw each other. He worked late hours, and she spent her time settling into her new life, working, remotely, trying not to think about how that kiss had felt. I'm learning what happiness means, Christina said carefully. Sometimes it takes time to find it. Grandmother Yang made a thoughtful sound and changed the subject to asking about Christina's work. The dinner continued with multiple conversations happening at once, some in Korean and some in English. Christina was starting to relax when the restaurant door opened and a woman walked in. She was stunning. Thin, elegant, wearing a white designer dress that probably cost thousands. Her long black hair fell in perfect waves, and her makeup was flawless. She walked straight to their private room like she owned the place. Min Seok's entire body tensed beside Christina. Min Seok, the woman said brightly, speaking English with barely an accent. I heard you were back in Boston. Why didn't you call me? Soo-yeon. Min Seok's voice was flat. What are you doing here? Having dinner, obviously. Soo-yeon's eyes swept over the table and landed on Christina. Her smile turned cold. And who is this? My wife, Min Seok said firmly. Christina, this is Park Soo-yeon, an old acquaintance. Wife? Soo-yeon's laugh was sharp. Don't be ridiculous. You're not the marrying type. Grandmother Jong spoke up in Korean, her tone icy. Soo-yeon responded in the same language, but her eyes stayed on Christina, assessing and dismissive. I apologize, Soo-yeon said to Christina in English. I'm just surprised. Min Seok and I were engaged once, and he always said he'd never marry. Yet here you are. The words hit Christina like a punch. Engaged? Min Seok had been engaged to this perfect woman? Things change, Min Seok said coldly. You should leave. Why? I haven't eaten yet. Soo-yeon pulled up a chair, ignoring the tension. I'm sure your family won't mind. They all know me, after all. And they did. Several people greeted her warmly, clearly remembering her from before. Christina felt like she was shrinking in her chair, suddenly aware of every extra curve on her body, every way she didn't measure up to this elegant ex-fiancé. So tell me, Soo-yeon said, focusing on Christina with fake sweetness. How did you meet Min Seok? It must have been quite sudden. We met in Detroit, Christina said, keeping her voice steady even though her stomach churned. And it wasn't a trap. We connected. Connected. Soo-yeon's eyes traveled over Christina's body slowly. How interesting. Min Seok always had such specific tastes before. I'm surprised he'd choose someone so different from his usual type. The insult was clear, even though the words were polite. Christina felt her face heat with embarrassment and anger. Different is good, she said firmly. It means authentic instead of fake. Soo-yeon's smile froze. Excuse me. You heard me. Christina met her eyes directly. I may not look like you, but at least I'm real. No fake smiles, no fake compliments hiding insults. Just honest. Christina, Min Seok said quietly. But Grandmother Jung laughed suddenly, a real laugh that made everyone stare. She said something in Korean that made several people smile, and Soo-yeon's face turned red. Grandmother says she likes a woman with backbone. Hye-jin translated reluctantly from her end of the table. She says maybe that's why you left, Soo-yeon. You had no spine. Soo-yeon stood up abruptly. I came here to be kind, to welcome her to the family. But I can see I'm not wanted. Min Seok, when you're done playing house with your little project, call me. I'll be waiting. She walked out, leaving behind an awkward silence. Min Seok squeezed Christina's hand under the table. I'm sorry about that. Why didn't you tell me you were engaged before? Christina whispered. Because it doesn't matter. She left me 3 years ago for someone with more money. Her marriage failed, and now she wants back what she threw away. But I moved on. To me, Christina said quietly, your fake wife. To you, Min Seok agreed. My actual wife. Contract or not, the marriage is real on paper, and that's all anyone needs to know. The dinner continued, but Christina couldn't focus. Soo-yeon's words echoed in her head, different from his usual type. Of course she was. Women like Soo-yeon were perfect. Thin, elegant. Christina was curvy. Foreign, nobody special. This whole marriage was a business deal. She couldn't forget that. After dinner, as they walked to the car, Christina's phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. Saw your wedding announcement. Big mistake leaving me. Call when you realize it. Derek. She deleted it immediately, but not before Min Seok saw her expression. What's wrong? Nothing. Just my ex being stupid. She showed him the text. Min Seok's jaw tightened dangerously. Give me his number. Why? So I can make sure he never contacts you again. It's fine. I'll just block him. Christina. Min Seok stopped walking and turned to face her. You're under my protection now. Anyone who bothers you, bothers me. That's how this works. Something in his fierce expression made her heart skip. You don't have to protect me from text messages. Yes, I do. That's the deal. He cupped her face suddenly, his thumb brushing her cheek. Don't let people like Soo-yeon or Derek make you doubt yourself. They're beneath you. Christina wanted to believe him, but as they drove home in silence, all she could think about was how Soo-yeon had looked at her, the dismissal in her eyes. And the worst part was, Christina understood why. She didn't belong in Min Seok's world of wealth and beauty and perfection. She was just a fat girl from Namibia who'd made a deal with a stranger. And sooner or later, everyone would see through the illusion. That night, Christina lay in her big, lonely bed, staring at the ceiling. Down the hall, Min Seok was in his own room, probably not thinking about her at all. This was just business for him. She needed to remember that before she did something stupid, like fall in love with her fake husband. 3 weeks into the marriage, Christina was losing her mind. Living with Min Seok was torture of the sweetest kind. Every morning she'd see him in the kitchen, hair slightly messy from sleep, drinking coffee in his dress shirt. Every evening he'd come home late, and they'd have dinner together, talking about their days like a real couple. And every night, he'd kiss her cheek and go to his separate room, leaving her aching for more. The kiss at the family dinner haunted her. Sometimes she'd catch him watching her with heat in his eyes, but he never acted on it. The contract hung between them like a wall. "We need to take a trip," Min Seok announced one Friday morning. "My business partners are asking questions. A weekend away will help sell the story." "Where?" Christina asked, trying to ignore how good he looked in his suit. "Cape Cod. I have a beach house there. It's private, quiet. We can both use the break." The thought of being alone with Min Seok for an entire weekend made Christina's pulse race, but she agreed. Maybe some time away from the pressure of Boston would help her get control of these feelings she wasn't supposed to have. They drove to Cape Cod that afternoon, the scenery changing from city to coastline. The beach house was beautiful, modern, and glass with views of the ocean. Christina stood on the deck, breathing in the salt air, feeling more relaxed than she had in weeks. "Thank you for bringing me here," she said, when Min Seok joined her. "It's perfect. I thought you'd like it." He stood close enough that she could feel the heat from his body. "You've been stressed. How can you tell? You get this line right here when you're worried." He touched the spot between her eyebrows gently. "And you've had it for days." The simple touch sent electricity through her. Christina stepped back, trying to create distance. "I'm fine." Liar. "Okay, maybe I'm a little stressed. Living with you isn't exactly easy." Min Seok's eyes darkened. "Why?" "Because I want you," Christina thought. "Because every day I'm around you makes this feel more real and more impossible at the same time. Because I'm terrified I'm falling for someone who sees me as a business transaction." But she couldn't say any of that. "Because this whole situation is weird. We're married but not really married. We live together but apart. I don't know what I'm supposed to feel." "What do you want to feel?" Min Seok moved closer again. "I don't know," Christina whispered. "I think you do." His voice was low, dangerous. "I think you want the same thing I want." "What do you want?" Instead of answering, Min Seok cupped her face and kissed her. This kiss was nothing like the one for show in front of his sister. This was raw and hungry, his lips claiming hers like he'd been thinking about it for weeks. Christina gasped against his mouth, and he deepened the kiss, his tongue sliding against hers in a way that made her knees weak. She grabbed his shirt, pulling him closer, and he groaned. His hands moved to her waist, then lower, gripping her hips and pulling her flush against him. She could feel every hard plane of his body, evidence that he wanted her just as much. "We shouldn't," Christina breathed between kisses. "Probably not," Min Seok agreed. But he didn't stop. He kissed down her neck, finding the spot that made her gasp. "Tell me to stop." "I can't." "Good." He swept her up in his arms like she weighed nothing and carried her inside to the bedroom. The sun was setting, painting the room in gold and orange light. Min Seok laid her on the bed gently, looking down at her with such intensity that Christina felt exposed. "You're beautiful," he said quietly. "I've wanted to tell you that since the moment I met you." "You don't have to say that." "I never say things I don't mean." He knelt beside the bed, his hands on her thighs. "Every curve, every inch of you. Beautiful." Tears pricked Christina's eyes. Nobody had ever made her feel desired like this. Derek had made her feel tolerated at best. But Min Seok looked at her like she was precious. "Make love to me," she whispered. Min Seok's control snapped. He kissed her again, his hands moving to the zipper of her dress. Christina helped him, suddenly desperate to feel his skin against hers. When he saw her in just her underwear, he made a sound that was almost a growl. "Perfect," he murmured, kissing down her body, taking his time at every curve, every soft place she'd always been self-conscious about. He made her feel worshipped. When he finally moved over her, skin to skin, Christina wrapped her arms around him. "Min-seok, tell me if I hurt you," he said against her ear. "Tell me what you need." What followed was the most intense experience of Christina's life. Min-seok was careful but passionate, paying attention to every sound she made, every movement. He learned her body like he was memorizing it, finding ways to make her gasp and arch beneath him. When she told him she'd never felt truly desired before, he spent the next hour proving how wrong that was. They made love 3 times that night, each time more intense than the last. Between rounds, they talked in the darkness, sharing pieces of themselves they'd kept hidden. Min-seok told her about his parents' death when he was 20, how he'd taken over the family business, and all its complications. Christina told him about growing up in Namibia, always feeling too big, too much, never quite fitting in. "I see you," Min-seok said as dawn light crept through the windows. "Not your body or your background, or any of the surface things. I see the person who stood up to Soo-yeon, the person who signed a crazy contract because she refused to let someone break her spirit. That's who you are." Christina kissed him softly. "Who are you, really? Beneath all the danger and mystery?" "Someone who's been alone for a very long time," he admitted. "Someone who thought marriage was a business deal until I met a woman crying in a hallway and realized maybe it could be more. This was supposed to be fake," Christina whispered. "I know. What does this mean for us?" Min-seok pulled her closer. "I don't know, but I know I don't want to stop." They spent the weekend in their private bubble, making love, talking, existing in a space where contracts and complications didn't matter. On the beach at sunset, Min-seok held her from behind, his arms around her waist. "I could stay here forever," Christina said. "Me too." But reality was waiting in Boston. When they drove back Sunday evening, the weight of the real world settled over them again. Min-seok's phone rang constantly with business calls. Christina's doubts crept back in. Was this weekend real or just physical attraction? At the mansion, Dante met them at the door with a worried expression. "Boss, we have a problem. Takeshi Yamamoto has been asking questions about your wife. He knows she's from Namibia, knows she has no family here. He's looking for weaknesses." Min-seok's entire demeanor changed, becoming cold and dangerous. "Increase security. Nobody gets near her without my approval." "Who's Takeshi Yamamoto?" Christina asked. "A business rival. Someone who won't hesitate to hurt you to hurt me." Min-seok turned to her, his eyes hard. "This is what I warned you about. My world is dangerous. I'm not scared. You should be." He touched her face gently. "Because if something happened to you, I don't know what I'd do." The confession hung between them, heavy with meaning. This wasn't fake anymore. Whatever they'd started in Cape Cod, it was real and terrifying and completely against the rules they'd set. That night, for the first time, Min-seok didn't go to his own room. He stayed with Christina, holding her close, both of them pretending they could keep the dangerous world outside at bay forever. But danger was coming. And soon, they'd have to face the consequences of turning a fake marriage into something real. Before we continue this story, if you're enjoying the journey of Christina and Min-seok, please subscribe to stay updated on what happens next. Let us know in the comments where you're watching from. Drop a like if you want to see how they handle the challenges ahead. Christina woke to an empty bed. She touched the pillow where Min-seok's head had been, still warm. The past 2 weeks since Cape Cod had been a dream and a nightmare at the same time. They were lovers now, truly married in every way that mattered. But the danger Min Seok had warned about was growing closer every day. She found him in his office, already dressed for work at 6 in the morning, talking on the phone in rapid Korean. When he saw her, his expression softened slightly. "I have to go to New York today," he said after ending the call. "Business meeting that can't wait. I'll be back tomorrow night." "Okay." Christina tried not to show her disappointment. "Be careful." He pulled her close and kissed her forehead. "Always. Dante will be here with the security team. Don't leave the house without telling him first." "I'm not a prisoner, Min Seok." "No. You're my wife. And that means people want to use you against me. Please, just for a few days. Be careful." After he left, the mansion felt too big and empty. Christina worked on her computer, trying to focus on coding. But her mind kept wandering. Around noon, her phone rang. "Haye Jin, can we talk?" Min Seok's sister sounded different, less angry. "I want to apologize for how I treated you." Christina hesitated. "Why the change?" "Because I've been thinking, and I realized I was unfair to you. Can I come over? Just for coffee?" Against her better judgment, Christina agreed. Maybe building a relationship with Hyejin would help make this marriage feel more real. When Min Seok's sister arrived an hour later, she looked genuinely apologetic. "Thank you for seeing me," Hyejin said as they sat in the living room. "I know I was terrible at the family dinner." "You were protective of your brother. I understand that." "No, I was jealous." Hyejin looked down at her hands. "Min Seok and we've only had each other since our parents died. Seeing him with someone new, someone he clearly cares about, made me feel left out." Christina's heart softened. "He loves you. You're his sister. That won't change. I know that now. I see how happy he is with you." Hyejin smiled, but something about it seemed forced. "Tell me, how did you really meet? The Detroit story seems so sudden." Something felt off, but Christina couldn't pinpoint what. She kept her answer vague, sticking to the story they'd agreed on. They talked for another hour, and Hyejin seemed genuinely interested in getting to know her. When she left, Christina felt cautiously hopeful that maybe they could be friends. She had no idea she'd just made a terrible mistake. That evening, Christina's phone exploded with notifications. Someone had leaked a story to a gossip website. Korean businessman's secret wife. Gold digger or true love? The article included photos of Christina from her social media, including old pictures from when she was dating Derek. Worse, there were quotes from an anonymous source claiming Christina had trapped Min Seok into marriage. Christina's hands shook as she read through the comments. People she'd never met were calling her names, saying terrible things about her body, her background, questioning why someone like Min Seok would marry her. The article had been shared thousands of times. Her phone rang. It was her mother, calling from Namibia, worried about the news she'd seen online. "Mom, it's not true," Christina said, trying not to cry. "Someone's lying about me." "Who would do this?" Before Christina could answer, another notification popped up. Someone had sent photos to the media, private photos from her relationship with Derek. Nothing too revealing, but embarrassing. Pictures of her, in a swimsuit, looking uncomfortable. A video of her drunk at a party, laughing too loud. All the moments she wished she could forget. And then she saw the sender's name in a screenshot someone had posted. Derek. Rage replaced Christina's fear. Her ex-boyfriend had sold her out, given her private photos to the media to humiliate her. Again, just like at the wedding, he wanted to tear her down. Dante appeared in the doorway. "Mrs. Jung, we have a situation. Reporters are gathering outside the gates." "What?" Christina looked out the window. Sure enough, several cars with cameras were parked on the street. "This is crazy. I've called Mr. Jung. He's coming back early." Dante's expression was serious. "Until he arrives, please stay inside and don't respond to any messages or calls from unknown numbers." The next few hours were torture. Christina watched as the story spread, getting bigger and uglier. More photos appeared, these ones taken recently of her and Min Seok around Boston, with cruel captions questioning their relationship. Someone had been following them. When Min Seok finally arrived home near midnight, he looked furious. He found Christina curled up on the couch, exhausted from crying. "I'm going to destroy them," he said without preamble. "Everyone who did this. It was Derek. He leaked the photos." "I know. Dante already tracked him down. He's working with Yamamoto, my rival. They're trying to make you a weakness, trying to embarrass me into divorcing you." Min Seok sat beside her, pulling her into his arms. "It won't work." "Maybe you should divorce me," Christina said quietly. "This is destroying your reputation." "I don't care about my reputation. I care about you." He tilted her face up. "You're my wife. Nobody does this to my wife and gets away with it." "Min Seok, there's more." Christina's voice cracked. "The article quoted an anonymous source from your family. Someone close to you is feeding information to the media." His expression turned dangerous. "Who?" "I don't know for sure, but Hye-jin was here today. She asked a lot of questions about how we met." Min Seok closed his eyes, pain crossing his face. "My own sister. We don't know it was her." But the next day, they got confirmation. A friend of Hye-jin's accidentally posted a screenshot that showed messages between Hye-jin and Soo-yeon. They'd been working together, feeding information to the media, trying to break up the marriage. Soo-yeon had convinced Hye-jin that Christina was only after money and would hurt Min Seok eventually. The betrayal cut deep. Min Seok called Hye-jin and told her not to contact him again until she was ready to apologize sincerely. His sister cried and tried to explain, but the damage was done. For Christina, it was worse. She'd opened up to Hye-jin, tried to build a bridge, and been stabbed in the back. And the public humiliation continued. Every day brought new articles, new photos, new cruel comments about her body and her worth. "I can't do this anymore," Christina said one evening, a week into the scandal. "I'm bringing danger and embarrassment to your life. This marriage was a mistake." "Don't say that." Min Seok grabbed her hands. "They want you to feel like this. They want you to run away. Don't give them what they want. But look at what's happening. Your business partners are questioning you. Your family is divided. All because of me. No, because of people who can't stand seeing someone different succeed. Because of people who think they can control me." Min Seok's voice was fierce. "I chose you, Christina. Contract or not, I chose you. And I'm not letting you go." "Why?" Christina's voice broke. "Why do you care so much? We barely know each other." "Because when I'm with you, I'm more than what I do. I'm more than the business, the danger, the expectations." He cupped her face. "You make me want to be better. You make me feel human again." Christina wanted to believe him, but fear was eating at her. What if this never stops? What if people always see me as the fat girl who trapped the rich man? Then they're blind. Min Seok kissed her gently. "I see you, Christina. All of you. And you're perfect." That night, they made love with desperate intensity, clinging to each other like they could block out the world. But in the morning, reality returned. Dante knocked on the bedroom door, his expression grim. "Boss, we have a serious problem. Takeshi Yamamoto's men were spotted near Mrs. Jiang's family home in Namibia. They're threatening her family to get to you." Christina's blood ran cold. "My family? They have nothing to do with this." "They do now." Min Seok was already getting dressed, his face set in hard lines. "This is what I was afraid of. Yamamoto is escalating. What do we do?" "I handle it." He pulled on his jacket. "Dante, arrange protection for her family immediately, and get me Yamamoto's location. It's time we had a conversation." "Min Seok, please don't do anything dangerous," Christina begged. He kissed her hard and fast. "Stay here. Stay safe. I'll fix this." Then he was gone, leaving Christina alone with her fear and the knowledge that she'd pulled the man she loved into a war he might not win. For 3 days, Christina barely heard from Min Seok. He'd send brief texts saying he was safe, but nothing more. The mansion felt like a prison. Security had tripled after the threats to her family. She couldn't go anywhere, couldn't do anything except wait and worry. On the 4th day, news broke that shocked everyone. Several of Min Seok's business partners had publicly announced they were cutting ties with him, citing concerns about his judgment and stability. The articles mentioned his sudden marriage and the scandals surrounding it as proof he was becoming unreliable. Christina knew this was her fault. If he'd never married her, none of this would be happening. She called Min Seok, but the call went straight to voicemail. Then she called Dante. "Where is he?" she demanded. "Why isn't he answering?" "He's in meetings, trying to save the business deals," Dante said carefully. "It's not good, Mrs. Jiang. Between the media attention and Yamamoto spreading rumors, several partnerships are falling apart." Guilt crushed Christina's chest. "This is because of me." "No, this is because powerful people are attacking him. You're just their excuse." But Christina couldn't shake the feeling that she was destroying everything Min Seok had built. That evening, her mother called again. "Christina, we're scared," her mother said, voice shaking. "There are men watching our house. They haven't done anything, but they're there." "What's happening?" "Min Seok is handling it, Mom. You'll be safe." "Maybe you should come home," her mother suggested gently. "This life you're living in America, it seems dangerous." After the call ended, Christina stood at the window, watching the security guards patrol the grounds. Her mother was right. This life was dangerous, and she was bringing that danger to everyone she loved. She made a decision then, one that broke her heart, but seemed necessary. When the contract year ended in 9 months, she'd leave. She wouldn't renew or extend. She'd take the money, make sure her family was secure, and disappear from Min Seok's life before she destroyed it completely. But she wouldn't tell him yet. Not when he was fighting so many battles. When Min Seok finally came home that night, he looked exhausted. His tie was loose, his shirt wrinkled, dark circles under his eyes. He found Christina in the kitchen, pretending to read. "I'm sorry I've been gone," he said, pulling her into his arms. "Things are complicated." "I know. I saw the news." Christina held him tight, memorizing how he felt. "How bad is it?" "Bad, but not impossible. I'm working on solutions." He pulled back to look at her. "This isn't your fault, Christina. Don't even think it." "How did you know that's what I was thinking?" "Because I know you." He kissed her forehead. "You blame yourself for things that aren't your responsibility. But this is business warfare. Yamamoto has been waiting for any excuse to attack me, and our marriage gave him one. If it wasn't this, it would be something else. Your partners don't see it that way. My partners are cowards who panic at the first sign of trouble. I'll find better ones." Christina wanted to believe his confidence, but she could see the strain in his eyes. This was costing him more than he wanted to admit. That night, they lay in bed, holding each other in the darkness. "Tell me about your dreams," Min Seok said quietly. "What did you want before all this happened?" "I wanted to build my own tech company someday," Christina admitted. "Something that helped people in African countries get better internet access and education. I wanted to make a difference. You still can. Maybe." She traced patterns on his chest. "What about you? What do you dream about?" Min Seok was quiet for so long she thought he wouldn't answer. Then he said, "I dream about being normal, having a family that isn't built on business and obligation. Coming home to someone who loves me for who I am, not what I can provide." He tightened his arms around her. "I dream about you." Christina's eyes filled with tears. "Min Seok, I love you, he said simply. I didn't plan to. But I do. The words she'd been afraid to say, afraid to even think, burst out of her. I love you too. They made love then, slow and tender, sealing their confessions with their bodies. Afterward, Christina lay awake, staring at the ceiling, her decision from earlier weighing on her. She loved him. But sometimes, love meant letting go. The next morning brought disaster. Christina was working in the home office when Dante burst in, his face pale. Mrs. Jiang, we need to move you to the safe room, now. What? Why? Yamamoto's men. They breached the outer security. We don't know how many or where they are. Fear shot through Christina. Where's Min Seok? On his way, but he's 20 minutes out. Please, come with me. They were halfway to the safe room when the lights went out. Emergency backup power kicked in, bathing everything in red. Dante pushed Christina behind him, pulling out his gun. Stay close, he whispered. They moved through the darkened mansion, Dante checking every corner. Christina's heart pounded so hard she could barely breathe. This was really happening. People were in the house, dangerous people who wanted to hurt her. They almost made it to the safe room when two men appeared from a side corridor. Dante fired, but there were too many. Something hit him hard, and he went down. Before Christina could scream, someone grabbed her from behind, a hand over her mouth. Don't fight, a voice said in accented English. You're coming with us. They dragged her through the house and out a side door she didn't even know existed. A van waited outside. Christina fought, kicking and trying to bite, but they were too strong. They threw her in the back of the van and tied her hands. As the van sped away from the mansion, Christina caught a glimpse of more security guards arriving, but too late. She was gone. The ride lasted maybe 30 minutes, but it felt like hours. When they finally stopped, they pulled her out into an abandoned warehouse. The smell of oil and rust filled the air. They tied her to a chair in the middle of the empty space. A man walked out of the shadows. He was older, maybe 50, with cold eyes and an expensive suit. Christina Kapenda Jiang, he said pleasantly. I'm Takeshi Yamamoto. I apologize for the rough treatment, but your husband has something I want. He'll kill you for this, Christina said, trying to sound brave even though she was terrified. Perhaps. But first, he'll give me what I want to get you back safely. Yamamoto smiled. You've caused quite a stir, Mrs. Jiang. Such an unusual choice for a man like Min Seok. I wondered why he'd marry someone so different from his usual style. Then I realized, you must be special somehow. Let me go. Soon. First, your husband and I will have a chat. He values you, which means you have worth to me. Yamamoto pulled out his phone. Let's see how much he's willing to pay. He took a photo of Christina and sent it. Minutes later, his phone rang. Ah, Min Seok, Yamamoto said cheerfully, putting it on speaker. I have something of yours. Min Seok's voice came through, deadly calm. If you hurt her, there's nowhere on earth you can hide. So dramatic. I haven't hurt her. Yet. But that depends entirely on you. Yamamoto walked closer to Christina. I want the Providence territories. Sign them over to me, and you get your wife back. Those territories are worth $50 million. And your wife is worth more, isn't she? Yamamoto traced a finger down Christina's cheek, making her flinch. Or maybe I was wrong. Maybe she's just a convenient wife, nothing special. In that case, I suppose you won't mind if I keep her. Don't touch her. Min Seok's voice shook with rage. You'll get your territories, just don't hurt her? Excellent. I'll send you the papers to sign. Once they're processed, you can have her back. Yamamoto ended the call and smiled at Christina. See? Simple business. But nothing was simple. Hours passed. Christina sat tied to the chair, her hands going numb, fear and cold making her shake. She thought about Min Seok signing away part of his empire for her. She thought about her family in danger because of her. She thought about how this whole mess started with a marriage that was supposed to be fake. She loved him, but love had brought only pain and danger. Finally, gunshots rang out, shouting in Korean and English. The warehouse exploded into chaos. Yamamoto's men scattered, and then Min Seok was there, bursting through a side door with Dante and a dozen armed men behind him. He'd been shot. Blood stained his shoulder, but he barely seemed to notice. His eyes found Christina across the warehouse, and the relief on his face was overwhelming. More gunfire. Min Seok took cover, returning fire, fighting his way to her. When he reached her, he cut through the ropes with a knife, his hands shaking. "Are you hurt?" he demanded. "Did they touch you?" "I'm okay." Christina threw her arms around him, careful of his wounded shoulder. "You're bleeding." "It's nothing. We need to move." They ran for the exit as the fight continued behind them. Dante covered them, keeping Yamamoto's men back. They made it to Min Seok's car, and he drove like a man possessed, racing through Providence streets until they were far from the warehouse. Only when they were safe did Min Seok pull over and turn to her. "I thought I lost you," he said, his voice breaking. "When they sent that photo, I couldn't breathe. You got shot for me." Christina touched his shoulder gently. "I'd take 100 bullets for you." He pulled her close, ignoring the pain. "Don't ever scare me like that again." They held each other in the car, both shaking from fear and relief. The danger had passed for now, but everything had changed. Christina knew she couldn't keep lying to him. She couldn't pretend this was sustainable. But as Min Seok held her, like she was his whole world, she couldn't imagine walking away either. She was trapped between love and fear, between staying and going, between what her heart wanted and what her head knew was right. And the contract that had started everything now felt like both a safety net and a cage. The private doctor finished stitching Min Seok's shoulder in the safe house Dante had brought them to. Christina watched, guilt eating her alive. He'd been shot because of her. Yamamoto had kidnapped her because she was Min Seok's weakness. "You need rest," the doctor said in Korean, which Dante translated. "No physical activity for at least a week." After the doctor left, Min Seok tried to stand, but Christina pushed him gently back onto the couch. "You hurt him. Rest." "I'm fine." "You're not fine. You were shot." Christina's voice cracked. "Because of me." "No, because of Yamamoto." Min Seok grabbed her hand, pulling her down to sit beside him. "Stop blaming yourself for what bad people do." "How can I not? If we weren't married, none of this would have happened. Your business would be fine. Your family wouldn't be divided, and you wouldn't be bleeding from a bullet wound." "If we weren't married, I'd still be empty inside," Min Seok said quietly. "I'd still be going through the motions of life without really living. You changed that." Tears streamed down Christina's face. "I was going to leave. When the year was up, I was going to take the money and disappear from your life. I thought it would be better for you." Min Seok stared at her, hurt and anger flashing across his face. "You were going to leave me? To protect you? I don't need protecting. I need you." He stood up despite the pain, pacing the small room. "How long have you been planning this?" "Since the scandal started. Since I realized I was destroying everything you worked for." "You weren't destroying anything. They were." Min Seok turned to face her, his eyes blazing. "Do you love me?" "Yes, but..." "No buts. Do you love me?" "Yes," Christina shouted. "I love you so much it terrifies me." "Then why would you leave?" "Because love isn't enough." Christina stood too, facing him. "Love doesn't stop bullets, or fix business deals, or make your family accept me. Love doesn't change the fact that I bring danger into your life. Love is everything." Min Seok crossed the room, cupping her face in his hands. "Without love, the business means nothing. The money means nothing. I've spent my whole life building an empire, and it was empty until you walked into it. Don't you understand? You're not my weakness. You're my strength." How can you say that when you just got shot rescuing me? Because I'd do it 1,000 times. Over? His thumbs wiped away her tears. I don't care about the danger, or the scandals, or the money. I care about you. Only you. Min Seok. Christina's voice was barely a whisper. I should have told you sooner. He reached into his pocket with his good hand and pulled out a small box. I've been carrying this for weeks, waiting for the right moment. But there's no perfect moment, is there? Just the truth. He opened the box. Inside was the most beautiful ring Christina had ever seen. Not huge or flashy, just a simple diamond set in gold, elegant and perfect. This isn't the ring from the contract marriage, he said. This is real. Christina Kapenda-jang, I'm already your husband on paper. But I want to be your husband in truth. I want to spend every day proving that you're loved, that you're worthy, that you're mine. Will you really marry me? Not for a year, not for money, but forever? Christina sobbed, her whole body shaking. You're bleeding and proposing? This is insane. That's not an answer. Yes, she laughed through her tears. Yes, you crazy man. I'll marry you for real, forever. Min Seok slipped the ring onto her finger, right next to the simple gold band from their contract marriage. Then he kissed her, deep and desperate, pouring everything he felt into it. We need to be careful of your shoulder, Christina murmured against his lips. I don't care about my shoulder right now. He kissed her again, backing her toward the bedroom. I need you. You're supposed to rest. I'll rest after. His good hand found the zipper of her dress. Let me show you how much I love you. What followed was tender and intense at once. Min Seok moved carefully because of his injury, but that only made everything more intimate. He took his time, kissing every inch of her skin, telling her in English and Korean how beautiful she was, how much he needed her. When they finally came together, it felt different from every other time. This wasn't just physical. This was a promise, a commitment, a forever sealed in their bodies. Afterward, they lay tangled together, Min Seok wincing slightly when he moved wrong, but refusing to let go of Christina. We need to deal with Yamamoto, he said eventually. He won't stop just because we escaped. What are you going to do? What I should have done months ago. End this. Min Seok's voice was hard. He threatened you, threatened your family, tried to destroy my business. That can't go unanswered. Please don't do anything that puts you in danger again. I won't. I promise. He kissed her head. But I also won't let him think he can get away with touching what's mine. Over the next few days, while Min Seok recovered, Dante worked behind the scenes. They gathered evidence of Yamamoto's illegal activities, things that would interest the police and FBI. They also reached out to Yamamoto's own business partners, the ones who didn't appreciate kidnapping as a negotiation tactic. Meanwhile, Christina called her family in Namibia. Min Seok had arranged for private security there, and the men watching their house had disappeared. Her mother cried with relief. I'm so glad you're safe, baby, she said. When can we meet this husband of yours properly? Soon, Mom. I promise. Grandmother Jang also called, having heard about the kidnapping through the family network. She surprised Christina by being genuinely concerned. You are stronger than you look, the old woman said approvingly. Min Seok chose well. Thank you, grandmother. Come see me when things calm down. I want to teach you how to make kimchi properly. A wife should know these things. After the call, Christina smiled. Maybe she was starting to find her place in this complicated family after all. A week after the kidnapping, Dante came to the safe house with news. It's done, he told Min Seok. Yamamoto has been arrested by the FBI. They have him on multiple charges, including kidnapping, human trafficking, and money laundering. He's not getting out. Min Seok nodded, satisfaction crossing his face. Good. What about his organization? Falling apart. His second-in-command is cooperating with authorities to save himself. Your territories are secure. And Derek? Christina asked. What about my ex? Dante's expression turned grim. Also arrested. Working with Yamamoto to extort money by threatening you made him guilty of several crimes. He's looking at serious prison time. Christina should have felt triumphant, but mostly she felt tired. All this drama, all this danger, and for what? Because Derek was cruel and Yamamoto was greedy. It's over, Min Seok said, reading her expression. We can finally breathe. But there was still one piece of unfinished business. Hyejin. Min Seok's sister had been calling constantly since the kidnapping, desperate to apologize. Finally, Min Seok agreed to meet her at a neutral restaurant in Boston. Hyejin looked terrible. Her eyes were red and puffy, her usually perfect appearance disheveled. When she saw them, she started crying immediately. "I'm so sorry," she choked out. "I never meant for any of this to happen. Soo-yeon told me Christina was using you, and I believed her because I was jealous and stupid. I never thought it would lead to danger. When I heard about the kidnapping, I wanted to die. This is my fault." Min Seok's expression was cold. "Yes, it is. Your jealousy helped Soo-yeon and Yamamoto hurt Christina." "I know." Hyejin turned to Christina, fresh tears falling. "I'm so sorry. I don't expect you to forgive me. I just needed you to know that I regret everything. You didn't deserve what I did to you." Christina looked at this broken young woman and saw someone who'd made terrible mistakes, but was genuinely remorseful. She thought about how family was complicated, how love and jealousy often existed together. "I forgive you," Christina said quietly. Both Hyejin and Min Seok stared at her in shock. "What?" Min Seok asked. "I forgive her." Christina reached across the table and took Hyejin's hand. "What you did was wrong. It hurt me. But I understand why you did it. You love your brother, and you were scared of losing him. That doesn't excuse it, but I understand." "Thank you," Hyejin whispered. "Thank you so much." Min Seok squeezed Christina's other hand under the table, love and admiration clear in his eyes. "But," Christina continued, "this is your one chance. If you ever betray us again, if you ever work against our marriage, we're done. Family or not. Do you understand?" "I understand. I swear, I'll never hurt you again. Either of you." Hyejin looked at her brother. "Can you forgive me too?" Min Seok was quiet for a long moment. "I don't trust you right now, but you're my sister, and I love you. So yes, I forgive you. But like Christina said, this is your only chance." The three of them talked for another hour, rebuilding broken bridges. It wouldn't be easy or quick, but they were trying. That night, back at the mansion, Christina and Min Seok stood on the balcony of their bedroom, looking out at the city lights. "You're amazing," Min Seok said, "forgiving her like that." "Life's too short for endless grudges," Christina replied. "And she's your sister. I want you to have family." "I have family. I have you." He turned her to face him. "The contract ends in 8 months, but I don't want to wait that long." "For what?" "To marry you again. A real wedding this time, with your family and mine, with everyone celebrating us. No more secrets, no more contracts. Just us, making promises in front of the people we love." Christina smiled, feeling lighter than she had in weeks. "Okay, let's do it." "Yeah? Yeah. Let's get married for real, Min Seok Jang. Let's prove to everyone that love doesn't care about size or background or what people think is possible. Let's show them all that we were right and they were wrong." He kissed her under the stars, and in that moment, everything felt possible. The danger had passed, the betrayals were forgiven, and their love, born from a contract and a moment of desperation, had grown into something real and lasting and beautiful. The next 2 months were a whirlwind of planning and healing. Min Seok's shoulder recovered fully, and they spent their time rebuilding what had been damaged. First on the list was dealing with the remaining villains who'd tried to destroy their happiness. Soo-yeon had gone into hiding after the kidnapping, knowing her involvement would be exposed. But Min Seok's people found her in a small apartment in Connecticut, her money nearly gone, her reputation destroyed. They met at a coffee shop, neutral territory. Soo-yeon looked different, less polished, more desperate. When she saw them walk in together, Christina's new engagement ring sparkling next to her wedding band, something broke in her expression. "You really love her," Soo-yeon said. It wasn't a question. "I do," Min Seok replied simply. "I threw you away for money, and you found something real." Soo-yeon laughed bitterly. "The universe has a sense of humor." "Why did you do it?" Christina asked. "Why try so hard to break us up?" "Because I realized too late that I made a mistake leaving you," Soo-yeon said to Min Seok. "My marriage was cold and empty. He didn't love me. He just wanted a beautiful wife. And I saw you with her, the way you looked at her, and I was jealous. I wanted that. I wanted you to look at me like that again." "I never looked at you like that," Min Seok said quietly. "Our relationship was about compatibility and family expectations. It was never love." Soo-yeon flinched. "I know that now, and I'm sorry for what I did. Working with Hye-jin, feeding stories to the media, it was petty and cruel." "It was more than petty," Christina said firmly. "You tried to destroy my reputation, my marriage, my life, because you were jealous. You're right, and I've paid for it. Everyone in our community knows what I did. Nobody will work with me or talk to me. My family disowned me for the scandal." Soo-yeon's eyes filled with tears. "I lost everything trying to take what was never mine to begin with." Min Seok stood up. "I hope you find peace, Soo-yeon. I hope you learn that manipulation and cruelty never lead to happiness. But we're done here. Don't contact me or my wife again." They left her sitting there, broken and alone. Christina almost felt sorry for her. Almost. "Do you think she'll be okay?" Christina asked in the car. "Eventually. She's smart enough to rebuild her life, but she'll never be what she was." Min Seok took Christina's hand. Some lessons cost everything to learn. Next, they focused on the business partners who'd abandoned Min Seok during the scandal. Most came crawling back once Yamamoto was arrested, and they realized Min Seok was still powerful. He turned away every single one. "You showed your true colors when things got hard," he told them in a conference call Christina listened to. "I don't do business with cowards. Find other partners." Instead, he built new partnerships with people who'd stayed loyal or reached out during the crisis. His business not only recovered, but grew stronger. "You're different now," Dante observed one day. "More confident, more selective." "Because I have something worth protecting," Min Seok replied, glancing at Christina. "Before, business was everything. Now it's just how I provide for what actually matters." The most emotional confrontation came when Grandmother Jong invited them to her home. Hye-jin was there too, nervous but hopeful. "Sit," Grandmother commanded in English, pointing to cushions on the floor. "We have much to discuss." They sat. Grandmother Jong looked at each of them in turn, her expression stern. "This family has been foolish," she began. "Hye-jin, you let jealousy guide you. Soo-yeon's poison found fertile ground in your fear. You hurt your brother and his wife because you were afraid of being left behind." Hye-jin bowed her head. "Yes, Grandmother, I was wrong. But you are learning. Apologies mean nothing without changed behavior. Have you changed?" "Yes. I've been seeing a therapist, working on my issues with abandonment and control. I'm trying to be better." Grandmother nodded. "Good." She turned to Min Seok. "You, my grandson, you shut yourself off from family after your parents died. You built walls so high that your sister felt abandoned. Some of her fear was earned. Min-seok's jaw tightened. I was trying to protect her. By pushing her away? That's not protection. That's cowardice. Grandmother's words were harsh but true. You must learn balance. Love doesn't mean distance. I know that now. Finally, grandmother turned to Christina. And you, the outsider who became family. Tell me, granddaughter, why do you stay? After all the pain, the danger, the betrayal, why remain with this complicated family? Christina thought carefully before answering. Because love isn't just about the good times. It's about choosing to stay when things are hard. Min-seok chose me when everyone said he shouldn't. How could I not choose him back? And the rest of us? We have hurt you. Yes, you have. But families hurt each other sometimes. The question is whether they learn and grow from it. Christina looked at Hyejin. She's learning. And I believe people deserve chances to be better. Grandmother Jung smiled fully for the first time. You have wisdom beyond your years. My grandson chose very well. She stood up slowly, her aged body stiff. I give my true blessing to this marriage. No more doubt, no more testing. You are family, Christina. Our family. Tears filled Christina's eyes. Thank you, grandmother. The old woman cupped Christina's face. You have made him human again. That is worth everything. After they left, Min-seok was quiet in the car. What are you thinking? Christina asked. That I'm the luckiest man alive. He kissed her hand. You forgave my sister when I wasn't sure I could. You faced my grandmother's judgment with grace. You stayed when anyone reasonable would have run. Love makes us unreasonable, Christina teased. Thank God for that. That evening, they had dinner with Dante, who'd become more than just security. He was family, too, in his own way. I heard from Derek's lawyer, Dante mentioned. He's pleading guilty to avoid trial. He'll be in prison for at least 5 years. Christina felt nothing but relief. Good. Maybe he'll learn something in that time. Doubtful, but we can hope. Dante raised his glass. To justice, finally served. They clinked glasses, celebrating not just Derek's downfall, but everything they'd survived together. Later, Christina called her family in Namibia via video chat. Her mother, father, and younger siblings crowded around the screen, excited to see her. When are we meeting this husband properly? Her mother demanded. Enough delays. Soon, Mom. We're planning a big wedding, and you'll all be there, I promise. Her father, usually quiet, spoke up. He treats you well? He makes you happy? Very happy, Dad. Then he has my blessing. Bring him home so we can welcome him properly. After the call, Min-seok held her close. Your family seems wonderful. They are. They're going to love you. I hope so. I want to make a good impression. Christina laughed. You're a powerful businessman who rescued me from kidnappers. I think you'll do fine. The months of dealing with villains and healing wounds had brought them closer than ever. They'd faced betrayal from family, attacks from enemies, and public humiliation. And they'd survived it all. Now, as they planned their real wedding, everything felt like it was falling into place. The contract that had started their relationship was almost expired, but it didn't matter anymore. They'd built something real from fake beginnings. I'm proud of you, Min-seok said one night as they cuddled on the couch. How you've handled everything. I'm proud of us, Christina corrected. We did this together. Together, he agreed. That's how we'll face everything from now on. And in that moment, surrounded by love and finally free from the shadows of their enemies, Christina believed him. The villains had been faced. The battles had been won. Now it was time to celebrate the life they'd built from ashes and contracts, and one desperate proposal in a hotel hallway. 6 months later, Savannah, Georgia bloomed with spring flowers and southern charm. Christina stood in the bridal suite of a historic mansion, staring at herself in the mirror. Her wedding dress was a custom design, fitted to celebrate every curve, with traditional Namibian patterns embroidered along the hem in gold thread. Her natural hair was styled in an elegant updo, woven with small flowers. "You look like a queen," her mother said, tears streaming down her face. "My beautiful daughter." Haye Jin adjusted Christina's veil carefully. "Thank you for letting me be here. I know I don't deserve it." "You're my sister now," Christina said simply. "This is where you belong." The past 6 months had been transformative. Min Seok had gradually shifted his business into completely legal territories, cutting ties with anything questionable. It meant less money, but more peace, and he said it was worth it. Christina had started her tech company with his support, focusing on bringing internet access to rural African communities. It was early days, but the dream was becoming real. They'd traveled to Namibia together, and Min Seok had met her extended family. He'd been nervous, which Christina found adorable. Her father had taken him aside for a serious conversation, and when they came back, Min Seok had looked relieved and happy. "What did he say?" Christina had asked. "That if I ever make you cry from sadness instead of joy, he'll find me, and that he's proud to call me son." Now, as Christina prepared to walk down the aisle for the second time to marry the same man, everything felt different. This wasn't a business transaction or a revenge scheme. This was love, pure and real and hard-won. A knock on the door. Dante poked his head in. "It's time, Mrs. Young. Your groom is getting impatient." Christina laughed. "Tell him he's waited this long. He can wait 5 more minutes." But she was ready. She'd been ready for this moment since Min Seok had proposed to her in that safe house, bleeding and desperate, and completely sincere. Her father waited outside the bridal suite, looking handsome in his traditional Namibian outfit, mixed with a Western suit jacket. When he saw her, his eyes filled with tears. "My baby girl," he whispered, "all grown up and so beautiful." "Don't make me cry, Dad. I just fixed my makeup." He offered his arm. "Let's go show that Korean boy what he's lucky enough to marry." The ceremony took place in a beautiful garden. Guests from Korea and Namibia mixed together, traditional clothes from both cultures, creating a vibrant sea of colors. Grandmother Zhang sat in the front row, dabbing her eyes with a handkerchief. Haye Jin stood as a bridesmaid, having earned back Christina's trust through months of consistent support and genuine change. And there, at the end of the aisle, stood Min Seok. He wore a traditional Korean hanbok in deep blue with gold embroidery, looking like something from a fairy tale. When his eyes met Christina's, the love on his face took her breath away. This man, this complicated, dangerous, wonderful man, was hers. Forever. The ceremony blended traditions beautifully. They performed a Korean paibak ceremony, bowing to Grandmother Zhang and receiving her blessings. They incorporated Namibian customs, with Christina's family singing traditional songs. And they wrote their own vows in English, so everyone could understand. Min Seok went first, his voice strong and clear. "Christina, when I met you, I was half alive, going through motions, building an empire that meant nothing because I had no one to share it with. You crashed into my life, literally, and everything changed. You taught me that vulnerability isn't weakness, that love is worth fighting for, that the right person doesn't complete you, but challenges you to become your best self. I promise to protect you, to support your dreams, to make you laugh when you're sad, and to love every beautiful inch of you for the rest of my life. Thank you for taking a chance on a stranger in a hallway. Thank you for choosing me." Christina's turn. She took a deep breath, looking into those dark eyes that had become her home. "Min Seok, you saw me when I was invisible. You valued me when I felt worthless. You proved that the cruel words of small people mean nothing when you find someone who truly sees your worth. You've given me safety, love, and the courage to dream bigger than I ever thought possible. I promise to stand beside you through danger and peace, to challenge you when you're wrong and support you when you're right, to build a life with you that's full of adventure, passion, and real love. We started with a contract, but we're ending with forever, and I wouldn't change a single thing about our crazy journey. There wasn't a dry eye in the garden. Even tough Dante was wiping his face. They exchanged new rings, these ones engraved with words in 3 languages: Korean, English, and a Namibian dialect. Love transcends all. When the officiant pronounced them husband and wife, Min Seok pulled Christina close and kissed her like they were the only 2 people in the world. The guests erupted in cheers, a beautiful mix of Korean and African celebration sounds. At the reception, speeches flowed freely. Dante talked about watching their love story unfold, from suspicious beginning to powerful ending. Hae-jin apologized publicly, thanking Christina for teaching her about forgiveness. Christina's mother embarrassed her with stories from childhood, making everyone laugh. But the most touching speech came from grandmother Jang. The old woman stood slowly, commanding instant attention. "In my 90 years, I have seen much," she began in careful English. "I have seen love that is duty, love that is convenience, love that is performance. But rarely have I seen love that is transformation. My grandson was lost before this woman. Now he is found. She was hidden before my grandson. Now she shines. This is what true love does. It reveals who we really are and helps us become who we're meant to be. May their marriage be long, full of children who inherit their strength, and may they never forget that love is a choice made daily, not just once at an altar." The guests raised their glasses, toasting in multiple languages. During their first dance, Min Seok held Christina close, swaying to a song they'd chosen together. "Happy," he murmured against her ear. Deliriously. Christina looked up at him. "Can you believe we're really doing this? That we started with a fake marriage and ended up here?" "I knew from the moment I saw you crying in that hallway," Min Seok said. "Something told me you'd change my life. I just didn't know how much." "Liar, you thought I was a mess. A beautiful mess who needed someone to see her worth. Lucky for both of us, I was available." They laughed, spinning slowly as their families watched with joy. Later, as the party continued with music from both cultures, mixing in perfect harmony, Christina slipped away to a quiet corner of the garden. She touched her stomach, where a tiny secret was growing. She'd found out just that morning. A baby. Their baby. Min Seok found her there, always knowing when she needed him. "What are you thinking about?" he asked. "About how Derek said nobody marries a fat girl. And I was so devastated I thought he might be right." Christina turned to face her husband. But he was wrong. Not only did someone marry me, but someone chose me. Someone fought for me. Someone loves me exactly as I am. "Derek is an idiot," Min Seok said firmly. "And if I ever see him again, I'll remind him of that fact. He's in prison. Let him stay there with his regrets." Christina took Min Seok's hand and placed it on her stomach. "Besides, we have more important things to think about, like telling you that, in about 7 months, you're going to be a father." Min Seok froze. "What?" "We're having a baby. Surprise." The joy that spread across his face was worth everything they'd been through. He picked her up and spun her around, laughing like she'd never heard him laugh before. "We're having a baby!" he shouted to the sky. Their families heard and came running. More celebrations, more tears, more toasts to the future. Grandmother Jang clutched Christina's hands, blessing her in Korean, overjoyed at the thought of a great-grandchild. As the party wound down and the last guests departed, Christina and Min Seok stood together under the stars, holding each other close. "Thank you," Christina whispered. "For what?" "For seeing me when I was invisible, for making a crazy proposal in a hallway, for proving that love stories don't have to start perfectly to end beautifully. "Thank you for saying yes," Min Seok replied, "for taking a chance on a stranger, for teaching me how to be human again, for giving me a future I never knew I wanted." They kissed under the Georgia stars, two people from different worlds who'd found each other in the most unlikely way. A contract marriage born from hurt and pride had transformed into a love story for the ages. Derek's cruel words echoed in Christina's memory one last time. Nobody marries a fat girl. But as she stood there, married to a man who loved her fiercely, carrying his child, surrounded by family who'd learned to accept and celebrate their love, Christina knew the truth. The right person doesn't see flaws. The right person sees the whole beautiful person and chooses them, again and again, through danger and scandal and every obstacle the world throws at them. She'd proven everyone wrong, not by changing herself, but by finding someone who loved every part of her exactly as she was. And as Min Seok whispered promises of forever in her ear, Christina smiled. This was just the beginning of their real story. The contract had expired months ago, but their love would last a lifetime. Forever started now. If you enjoyed Christina and Min Seok's journey from a fake marriage to real love, please subscribe to our channel for more stories like this. Drop a comment letting us know where you're watching from and which part of their story touched your heart the most. Your support means everything to us.